So one of the things you guys are going to see in this video, because some of the feedback I'm getting is some of you guys want a little bit of teaching portion as well as some live feed. So this video is all about Big O. When I play Big O, I play as the maniac. And that is one of the principles I didn't talk about. I just talked about some basic things to get people going as far as what's called a 3-3 rule. So 3 to Broadway, 3 to a wheel is a hand that you should be raising with. One of the ways I get paid off in Big O is I act as what's called a maniac, which means my VPIP is probably around 90%. VPIP means voluntarily put chips in play. I will see around 90% of flops. You'll even see a few hands in the video where I have 3 of a kind and I'm raising with it. And some of you might say, oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're just a punter. My Big O method is a method of madness. I do fight for every chip that goes in the pot, which makes me a very formidable opponent. And when you do have the maniac image, there's 2 things that happen. One, you're going to get paid off on premium hands. So if you flop nut, or if you flop nut with a nut redraw, you're going to get paid off. People are just going to call you. 2, because you have the maniac image and you're raising most hands, people have no idea what you're raising with. So you're going to see in the video where I make some raises with just a high hand, and then I continue. And then you'll see some parts in the video where I raise with a low hand and get paid off. And part of the advantage of being the maniac is, again, people can't read you. They don't know what you have. And they just think you're crazy. But there is an actual method to being the one who is the maniac. Now, when I play Big O and I happen to get to a table where there's another maniac, the pots get really, really big. That wasn't the situation here, but the situation of me being a maniac getting paid off pretty handsomely, well, you guys will see that there's a $3,800 pot in a 1-3 Big O game. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And let me know what you guys think about being a maniac on Big O. I know some of you guys are going to say you're crazy, and some of you guys are going to say that's genius. But over the long run, I believe being the maniac is going to pay off dividends. So let me know what you think. Thank you. All right, everybody, so here we go. We're going to look at our first Big O hand where we actually get down to the river. So I make a 15 with deuce 5-6, jack double suited. We get a total of 5 callers, so there's $75 in the pot. Keep in mind, I do have the maniac image. When the board flops 5-5 king with 2 clubs, I'm going to go ahead and bet this one out. So because I do have 3 5s, the only thing I'm really losing to is ace 5. Of course, I'm losing the queen 5, and I'm losing the pocket kings. But I go ahead and bet out $60. I don't mind betting into the field, especially when it checks to me. But again, I have the maniac image, so I'm going to get called a lot lighter than I probably would. So people, even with like club draws, when you have the maniac image, are going to end up calling you. And, you know, if like the deuce of clubs comes or say the jack of clubs comes. But we get one caller, so we're heads up to the turn. which comes the 10 of spades. Now, this was a little bit early on in the session, so it goes check, check. I was just playing a little bit for pot control. When he checks to me, I go ahead and I fire out $105. I'm like, here we go. I do have jack blockers, so I don't think anybody is going to have a straight here. And the gentleman ends up folding, and we take down a nice little pot. All right, everybody, so this is a hand that is not a premium hand. I'm going to go ahead and preface it with that. I was on the straddle for 10, and somebody behind me makes it 40 bucks, and we're going to go 4 ways to the flop. 3, 5, 6, 9 king is a hand that many Big O players won't even play. Generally, cards that are in the middle, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are probably the worst cards that you can have. But we are at the meetup game. We're splashy. We're also known as the Maniac here for Big O. I play just about every single hand pre-flop. And so we're going to go 4 ways to the flop. And oh my, we flop top pair and a wrap draw. Now keep in mind, wrap draw, because it's a 5 and a 6, is not the best, because if a 4, a 5, or a 6 comes out, we're giving up half the pot. 9 or a 10 comes out, we can scoop. So when somebody bets $40 ahead of me, they're betting 40 into a 160 pot. That signifies that they're on some kind of draw. So I'm going to go ahead and call here. And there are 2 diamonds out there. We don't have any diamonds, as you can see. We do have 9 high backdoor hearts. And, if we do turn an ace or a deuce, we have a pretty good chance that we're going to get half the pot. And the guy behind me decides to jam. He goes all in for $200, and the guy behind him goes all in for less. He only has 60 bucks left. So one of the issues that people run into when they play Big O is they do small buy-ins. And I look down, I see that it's only 160 to close out the action. Had this guy had $500 behind him, I can assure you that I would fold. As much as I am a loose, aggressive player in Big O, or also known as the Maniac, if he did have 500 behind, there is no way I am calling this. Because I know if I don't bink a perfect black 9 or a black 10 on the turn, I'm going to have to face a $200 bet. So when I know it's only, or a $500 bet, pardon me. So when I know it's only 160 to go, I'm like, you know what? You guys showed up for the meetup game. This is like the bottom end of my range. It's a super loose call. I tell them that. I go ahead and decide to make the call. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, because if you do hit the like button, I'm sure we're going to get there somehow, because I'm sure you guys like seeing ultra aggressive Maniac style Big O. That's absolutely my favorite game in the world. So I go ahead and call. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, so that way we can see a run out and see if we're going to scoop. So I find out at this point, one guy's got pocket kings. That's not good. At least I'm drawing to a straight. The other guy, who was the short stack, had ace deuce with diamonds. So this is literally our worst case scenario. So now I'm thinking, oh boy, I'm in really bad shape. Hopefully I hit my wrap draw, and hopefully I can get just half the pot. Hopefully a black 4, black 5, black 6 comes up, black 9, black 10, or an ace or a deuce. Hopefully my 3-5 will be low. Oh, jack of clubs is the turn. All right, well, let's see what the river is. Oh my goodness, the river is a black 10. So I go ahead and turn over, show them the bad news that I have a 69 for the worst possible straight. We end up scooping, and the table goes silent just for a minute. All right, everybody, we are in the straddle for $10. And gentleman to my left decides to kick it up a notch. He decides to kick it up to $40. Now I go ahead and I look down at deuce 3, 5, 8, 8 double suited. Now this is not a premium hand. This does not qualify for one of the 3-3 rules where you have 3 to Broadway and 3 to a wheel. However, I am the Maniac at the table. My VPIP is really far up there. I am not going anywhere with deuce 3, 5, 8, 8. Not for an extra $35. Not when it's for me to close out the action. We do get 2 other people to call, so for $35 into a $185 pot, I'm definitely going to see a flop. You never know. You can always flop gin when you have these hands. Gin would be like 8, ace 4, something to that effect, or ace 4, anything. So for 35 bucks, we're going 4 ways to the flop. The flop comes jack deuce 4. So here we go. We've got open-ended straight draw. We do have backdoor clubs, which would be so sick if we hit backdoor clubs. And at this point, I'm not thrilled about my hand because I don't have any spades to go with it. I really need a red 6 or a red ace. So it checks to the original raiser, who jams all in for $180. And when he jams all in, I'm so glad that I'm the last person to act. Again, this is one of those situations where if he has another $500 behind 180, I might call to see the turn.
but if the turn doesn't gin me, I'm not going to see the river. So it does fold around to the first player folds, the second player folds. And for me, I'm going to double check my hand. I tell the guy, I'm like, oh, this is a really loose call, but I'm going ahead and call you, sir. I have an open-ended straight draw with a nut low draw. Let's go ahead and have a run out, see what happens. Maybe we can get lucky. You never know. It's one of the beautiful things about Big O. So I go ahead and make the call. And lo and behold, the turn card, oh my God, this could be sick, is the king of clubs. Now I have a club draw. Oh, the river's the seven of spades. I tell him, I say, if you have spades, you're good. I do have a 35 for a low. And he shows us nut spades with the ace four, and we show him the 35 low to get half the pot. So one of the things I preach in Big O is one-way hands. There's always going to be a high hand. So when I look down at ace, king, 10, jack, 8 with a single suit, I'm in the small blind. I decide to juice up the pot a little bit. We're going to make it $20. Everybody was limping to me. Now we are playing the small blind jackpot game. What that means is there's $5 on the button. The only person who can win it is the small blind. If the small blind does not win it, we add another $5 onto that. So there's actually $35 on the button for me to win as an extra incentive. So we go four ways to the flop for $20. Again, these are one-way hands, so you're either going to smash the flop or you're going to whiff. So when the flop comes, queen, jack, 7, there are two clubs out there. I do have backdoor hearts, and I have a complete wrap. There's 85 in the pot. I bet out 50. Plus, there's an extra 35 on the small blind jackpot game. That's giving me some extra incentive. Now, when I make it $50 for my first opponent, he does not think that that's enough. So he is going to go ahead and rip it all in. Now, again, one of the challenges with small stacks is when you rip it all in, it closes out the action. So he makes it a total of $200. Well, for an extra $150 to win $335 plus the 35 out of the small blind jackpot, I'm not going to go anywhere. I do have a complete wrap. My opponent, when he does rip it all in, I'm thinking he's probably got a set, and hopefully he doesn't have any clubs. And lo and behold, we hit our wrap right on the turn. King of diamonds for the stone cold nuts, 3 of spades. I turn over my hand. He says that he had pocket queens, and we end up scooping this one. So this is one of our first semi-premium hands that we have here. We're in the hijack. Gentleman ahead of us makes it $45. We've got ace, jack, jack, 3, 9. So we do have 3 cards in Broadway, 2 to a wheel. We have a 9 dangler. We do have 2 clubs in our hand. We do have an ace high diamond blocker. Board comes king, deuce, 8. Now it's surprising how often one pair holdings are going to win the high portion of the pot. And I say that because I play an extensive amount of Big O as well as high-low PLO. And a lot of times people will be getting it all in with like ace, deuce, 3. Most people's raising ranges are a lot smaller than what my calling range is. So when I do flop the nut low, I'm not going anywhere. And when my opponent decides to lead out and bet, which is what he's going to do, he's going to bet 105. Obviously, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to call. And so now we've got a little bit of a pot building. Now the turn comes a 5 of spades. This is not a good turn for us. We end up having the nut low. We'd prefer to see a red 5 there, but we know that there's a chance that we're going to get quartered here. And my opponent's in the tank for a little bit, and he's probably trying to factor in what's the most I can get out of the professor. He decides to jam all in. I tell him, you're a nice guy. He's actually one of the subscribers. I go ahead and call. I let him know I'm probably getting quartered here. All I've got is ace 3 with a pair of jacks. And he does turn over ace 3 with spades. So he has low spades with the nut low. So we end up getting quartered. We end up losing 180 in this pot. But when you're the maniac, that's just going to happen from time to time. So if you're ever curious what a maniac raises with, just about everything. So here we have a 3 of a kind in our hand. Now we're not playing any side games where a 3 of a kind gives you a bonus or anything like that. We are playing the small blind jackpot game, but I'm in the middle position. So I go ahead and make it 15. We end up getting 4 callers, as you can see here, and the board comes 9 queen deuce. So we do have the nut diamond draw. We have runner, runner, nut low draw. But it's really important if you have the image of being a maniac that you bet appropriately. So when you flop a draw, you bet it. And you should bet it, especially because we're not drawing dead. We're definitely drawing to the nuts. We're going to call any raise here. Got a gentleman to my left who tells me he's a subscriber. He ends up calling $45. I can respect that. And there's going to be two other people behind him that, 9 and a queen does not really match a lot of people's hands in Big O. So we're going to go heads up to the turn. Now, the turn happens to be the 8 of hearts. I tell him, I'm going to check to you, but I'll call a pot-sized bet. I'm going to be nice because you're one of my subscribers. And he says, I have the nuts straight, Josh, but somehow I just know a diamond's coming on the river, so I'm going to check back. So when it goes check, check, we're kind of giggling a little bit, and I say, how did you know I have nut diamonds? I have a nut low draw, too. Bink, 6 of diamonds comes on the river. I bet 65. He ends up showing me that he did have 10 jack, that he didn't want to bet it. I tell him that's okay. He's just saving money, and we end up scooping this one. So here we are. We're on the button. We have ace 10, 4, 4, 3. We do have 3 clubs in our hand. We have nut clubs. Now, in this situation, I am short stacked. So this is at one point in the night where I'm short stacked. And the gentleman decided to raise ahead of me in the cutoff, and I went ahead and 3-bet him. I only have $60 behind. And here I am in the short stack. I'm ready to reload or get it all in. I'm ready to gamble it up. Of course, I've already been gambling it up, being the maniac image that I have on the table. So this is a situation where it's not the greatest of hands. I'd rather have like ace king 3 4 4, but I'll take ace 10 3 4 4 heads up in a situation. So I make it 90. The person decides to call. We go heads up to a flop, and when the flop comes out 9 3 8, I'm sitting here, and at this point I honestly can't remember if I have pocket 3s or pocket 4s. So I've only got $60 left. I'm like, well, let's just get it all in and see what happens. I do have backdoor clubs. At this point, I'm just like, it's $60 into a $190 pot. My opponent decides to think a little bit, and he decides, all right, what not? Why not, Josh? I'll go ahead and call. So when he calls, turn comes the 7 of diamonds, and then the river comes the deuce. I tell him I have the nut low with a pair of 4s, hoping somehow my pair of 4s is good. And he tells me he's got the high, and we end up getting half this pot. So again, one of the advantages is when you are the maniac, you're going to get paid off in some situations. And when you flop a really strong hand, you just need to bet it because it's hard for your opponents to put you on anything. So here we are. We're on the button. We look down at ace deuce 899 double suited. So we have ace deuce being the nut low draw. We have pocket 9s, which is good for a high. And we have a suited ace, which could also be good for a high. So this is a hand I'm going to pot it. In some situations, if my opponents are deep enough, I'm going to 3-bet it, especially when I'm on the button. But in this situation, everybody limps. I make it 35. We end up getting 2 callers. The small blind does call. Keep in mind the small blind has an extra $20 incentive if they end up winning the hand. And when the flop comes, 3 of spades, 4 of spades, queen of clubs, well, I don't think I could have asked for a better flop except for maybe 3, 4, 9. But in this situation, we have the nut low, we have the nut high draw, we do have pair of 9s. So the first player checks, goes to the second player. He decides to check it on over. I have the maniac image. I throw out a white chip, which is $100. The fact that my opponents are thinking about it is a good sign. The first player ends up folding. The second player goes in the tank. He happens to be a really tight player, so he might be thinking about calling with like ace 5, maybe with a bad spade draw. He could be thinking about calling with the queen. In any case, he ends up deciding that he's going to release and fight to live another day, which I can totally respect that because I absolutely smashed this flop, and we take down a small one. So here's the situation when you are the maniac of sometimes when you're going to get paid off. Now, this is not a premium hand. I am on the button. I look down at Jack, Jack, Deuce 4, 7. So there's a raise ahead of me for $25. I go ahead and I make it 50. And we're going to go heads up to the flop. Everybody folds around to the original raiser to my right. And part of the reason why I 3-bet with this hand is because we are so deep. And this is also a guy that we were playing back and forth at each other all night. And it's not a premium hand, but when I 3-bet him and he just flats, it does give me an idea. Maybe he just has low cards. So when the flop comes queen, queen, 9, again, this isn't exactly a great flop for me, but I'm going to bet out $50. I have position, betting 50 into 110. I can get called pretty light here. He might call with like pocket 10s. He could call with aces or kings. He could call with any queen. Again, we are heads up. So he does call. Turn comes another 9. I did think that there was a possibility he could call with a 9. So it goes check, check. River comes a 7. This is one of those situations when he checks to me, I debated on actually betting for value. And then I figured ace 9 is going to call me here a lot. So I decide on the safer route. I decide to check back. And I turn over that we have jacks and we scoop. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're going to go for a ride. So this is a hand that we're picking up in mid-action. And so my camera was on and off throughout the night. Here's what the situation is. I raised pre-flop. I was the straddler. Keep in mind, I have the maniac image going. Everybody at the table understands that I am a maniac and that I could be raising with anything. So when I raise on the straddle, we go 4 ways to the flop for $60. And the small blind leads out for $25. Now the flop came deuce of diamonds, 3 of hearts, 4 of hearts. As you can see, I have ace 10, 3, 5, 6. So I do have spades in my hand, so I don't have any flush draws, but at this current time I have nut, nut. So when the small blind bets 25 into me and the big blind calls 25, I could pot it, but I don't exactly want to get rid of everybody when you have nut, nut. But I am the maniac at the table. So I am definitely going to juice this pot up a little bit. So I go ahead and I make it 125. Now the button did go in the tank for a little bit. The button ends up laying it down. And when it gets back to the small blind says that one little word when you have nut nut that brings music to your ears, or at least at this current time it did. He says pot. Now the dealer's going to take a minute to figure out what pot is, but basically 125 times 3 is 375 plus what was in the pot. So we're going to end up having like a $460 pot size bet, somewhere around there. Maybe it was a little bit more than that. But he does say pot. Dealer's trying to figure it out. At this point in time, the gentleman in between us hasn't mucked his cards. And I'm sitting here going, oh, baby, this is like the best situation for me. I said, I think the guy who led for $25 has got 5-6. And I think the guy in between us has ace 5. And I'm sitting there going, wow, I really could not have asked for a better scenario because I'm going to get half of the entire mid pot and then I'm going to get 3/4 of the pot against the guy who has ace 5, if that's what he has. So when the gentleman in between us calls, I tell the dealer, you know what? We're just going to pot it out. And I do have 1,900 in chips in front of me. So when I do pot it, it's essentially a $1,600 bet. The reason why, the gentleman in between us has another $1,200 behind the 400 and change. So the original guy who bet 25 rips in the rest of his stack. He has 605 effective. And you can see it's going to take a little minute here, but this is really a dream scenario. Of course, if I had the ace of hearts to go with my 6 of hearts, that would be like the double dream scenario. Or if I had like pocket 3s to go with my nut nut, that would be my dream scenario. So right now, all I have is the nut low and the nut high, but pretty much there's a lot of cards that can kill my action. And when I do get it all in, I am thinking to myself, boy, if like a 10 of clubs comes out and gives me 10s over 3s, it'll give me a chance to get a higher high hand. That would be beautiful. But at this point, of course, we can't get any lower than ace 5 because we have the wheel. So I go ahead, I put out all my chips. I show the guy that it's going to cost him all of his chips. He decides, what the hell, let's call, let's get it all in. He's in for 1,600. I'm in for 1,600. The other guy's in for 640. Plus we have some money in the middle of the pot. So this is well over a $3,800 pot. Dealer asks if I can change out some blue for some yellow. I'm like, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and see a run out here. So hit the like and subscribe button. That way we can get 3/4 of the pot. It does help the channel a lot when we get a lot of likes and we get more subscribes. Feel free to share it. This is my moment because this hand takes a little bit to tell all of you. I really appreciate you guys watching the channel. I'd like to see more Big O hands and Big O games. So when I am going to start traveling, I'm just going to start putting Big O up there because I get a lot of requests for Big O. So let's go ahead and see what the run out is here. We're showing everybody's chips. Dealer is like, all right, we're going to figure it out in just a minute. We're going to go ahead and go to the turn in the river. So dealer turns up the deuce of hearts. Oh my God, that pretty much hit anybody. Anybody who's got a set, anybody who's got hearts just got there. So I turn over my hand, I table it. I'm expecting to get maybe half the pot. Maybe I'm going to get quartered. Oh my God, we're going to get 3/4 of everything. Look at this. This is genius. No one had hearts. One guy, the original small blind guy, had ace 4, 6, 7. So he was really hoping for a 5 to get nut. The guy that was caught in between us, he had ace 5, 7, queen. So actually, when the turn comes, a deuce, if another deuce comes on the river or a queen comes on the river, he gets 3/4 of the pot with deuces full. And I've had that happen, and it's a really bad feeling. But in this situation, here I am getting 3/4 of the pot. Our net result is about plus 1,300. Thank you for hitting the like and subscribe, even though the deuce of hearts looked like it hit everybody, and in fact did not. This is just some chip porn for you guys just to see what a huge stack looks like after scooping a massive pot. So we just got done with our meetup game. We actually had a really long session. We started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is, what is it, like
3:45.
It's like almost 4 in the morning. Yeah, it was a really good turnout. Ended up having 3 tables. Got to meet a lot of new people, see some new faces. Saw a couple people that we've seen before. But overall, it was really good. We did a round by round. When it got down to one table, we did 1 round of PLO and then 1 round of Big O. And then with the small blind jackpot, we actually got it up to like, what, 140 or 135 was the biggest.
Took it down at the end there.
Yeah, so that was pretty nice. So what were you in for?
I was in for 3, out for 14, so 111, and probably my longest session in years. Definitely my latest session. I can't remember the last time I played till 3 o'clock in the morning, but yeah, like you said, it was really fun. Awesome to meet everyone, and yeah, definitely looking forward to do it.
Yeah,
anytime down the road.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely wiped. I'm at the end of the end of, I don't know, 10 days or 11 days of being on the road for poker. So I'm really looking forward to going home. But yeah, I was in for 5 today and out for 3,280 or 30, somewhere around there, like 3,300. So yeah, I just had a couple of big hands, and I had a couple of hands where I lost, but that happens. So I think that's about it. Hustler was really cool, guys. If you're in the LA area, definitely check them out. So anything else?
No, again, I mean, yeah, Hustler was great. Thanks to everyone for coming out and supporting, and yeah, I mean, everyone had a lot of fun, so we'll definitely look to get back there sometime.
Yeah, so we're tired. Good night, everybody. Play smart and run like a god.
Take care, guys.